Hey everyone, Stephen Corby here with Ticora Davis. I'm Stephen Corby with A Mind for Business, Strategic Business Coaching, and Ticora Davis is owner of the Creators Law Firm. Why don't you say hi to everyone, Ticora?
Hey y'all, how are y'all doing?
And Ticora, tell us a little bit about the Creators Law Firm. What exactly is it that you guys do, and what was your vision and your goal in creating that?
Sure. The Creators Law Firm is a boutique intellectual property law firm that serves creative entrepreneurs and small business owners. I love to say that I help them protect their smarts in these internet streets. So what that means is I'm helping them protect their unique ideas and their expressions of those ideas as they show up in the world. So that is who the Creators Law Firm is and what we do.
And guys, before we get too deep into the interview, I'd ask you to please like or love the video, drop a comment or a share. The way Facebook algorithms works is that the more comments and interactions we get, the more people get to see it. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video. So for those of us who don't really know Ticora, tell us, what exactly is IP law? What is intellectual property?
So intellectual property law is really an overarching kind of branch of law practice where it helps protect ideas or creative ideas of the mind, things that are not always tangible. So as we have real property, like thinking of like a home or land or personal property, cars, desks, my laptop, microphone, intellectual property is still a different type of property that has very similar rights, but it's more so with intangible ideas, things that we cannot always touch. So, for example, your business name, your business's logo, the book that you may desire to write, a song that you may want to write, or even an invention that you may want to create. All of those are different branches that fall underneath the overarching area of intellectual property law. And within intellectual property law, you have different types of law, such as patent law, which covers inventions, plant patents, utility patents, design patents, trademarks, which cover brand identifiers such as business name, logos, taglines, copyright law, which really governs artistic law, books, music, things of that nature.
Okay. So tell me, as a small business owner, or really any small to medium-sized business owner, why should we care about anyone stealing our stuff? Is anyone really going to be out there taking our content from us?
Yeah, people will be out there to snatch all of your content. It's unfortunate, but it really does happen. And just as it would be a violation for someone to come into your home and steal your things, like your tangible property, it is equally a violation for someone to actually steal your content. And content creation could be a blog that you wrote, a great Facebook post that you wrote, a Facebook video that you crafted, an ebook or a manual that you put together. There have been, unfortunately, people who do just that. I've seen examples of people who actually take someone's entire website and recopy it and just post change out some of the names and things like that. So, what is the danger when someone takes your intellectual property? Well, if someone has, you have a business name and someone comes along and they take your business name, or they start a business that has a confusingly similar business name, you run the risk of people being confused in terms of, who should they go to for the particular services that you offer. You also run the risk of being associated with an inferior product that could affect how people view your brand, which is never fun. And also, more than anything, is that you don't have the control, or you're not in full control over how your business shows up online. And that's really what matters most in terms of brand recognition, notoriety, really making a name for your business, whether it be a law firm, a coaching business or practice, whether you're a graphic designer, artist, whatever it is that you're doing, you should be in the driver's seat of how your business, brand, name, anything that is associated and tied to your business shows up on and offline.
Okay, and guys, if you have any questions along the way, please drop them in the comments and we'll try to get to them as we're going along in the show. You're a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, at least a recovering one, even though my firm's still open and going strong. So how do we, as a small business owner, how do we protect our businesses without spending a fortune?
One of the things that I highly encourage anyone to do prior to starting a business is to have a comprehensive trademark clearance search conducted. A trademark, again, is a name, logo, tagline. In very rare cases, it can even be a scent, sound, or color, which we don't really deal with that often, but really the names, the logos, the taglines. Try to see if someone else is using that. A really quick way to do this without hiring an attorney is to literally Google it. Or second best, Facebook it. Because most people who have a business or they have some sort of online presence, they're going to be on Facebook, or they're going to have a website, or they're going to be on Instagram, because those are marketing channels and sales channels that people utilize heavily because they know other people utilize it. So you doing a very quick search to see if anyone's using your name or even desired business name can help you avoid a lot of headache. Now, one caveat is, just because you see someone and they have the exact same business name as you, it doesn't mean that you should just halt the brakes and stop fully. We have what I love to call. So there are businesses that are in completely separate industries that are happily coexisting with the same brand and business name, but there's no trademark infringement. How can that happen? When we think of Pandora Music and Pandora Jewelry, they're completely different products that are being offered that are not going to confuse consumers. The same thing with Dove Chocolate, Dove Soap, Delta Dental, Delta Airlines, Delta Faucets, and even Domino's Pizza and Domino's Sugar. So just because someone else has a business that has the same brand name as you, that doesn't mean that there's a case of trademark infringement. That might be an opportunity for you to do a little bit more due diligence and maybe even consult with an attorney. So those are some really quick things that you can do on your own prior to investing time or experience with an attorney to see whether or not it's, important to do that.
What if I throw that little copyright symbol after everything I write, or put a little TM in there? Does that actually do anything to help me?
Well, I thought that was funny when you did the copyright symbol after protect your smarts, because I was like, oh, that's not right. But
I know. I did it just because I knew you were going to say something.
I know. I was like, I'm going to get him. So, for instance, the moment that we write a Facebook post, a blog, any type of content, it's immediate. Copyright attaches immediately. It's already copyrighted from the moment that you create it, assuming that it's not based on anyone else's work, such as, making a derivative work. So you already own, whether you believe it or not, you probably already have a nice intellectual property portfolio that you've been building, even you may not have been keeping track of it. So, but the next step that you should probably look into is strategically registering those works that you may have with the Copyright Office. Registering your work with the Copyright Office gives you a set of rights that are very important. It gives you a record that you are the actual rightful owner over the content. So it makes it much easier for you to get that content removed. Mm-hmm. It gives you the right to sue in federal court, which is most of the time much faster than, state court. It also allows you to sue and recoup attorney's fees when you have registration. And there are even some statutory limitations, or I think it's a minimum of or maximum of $150,000 per infringement. So, that may not work necessarily or be appealing to someone. If another small business owner, takes their content, but there have been times where I've seen there's a case that Netflix, for Stranger Things, Netflix had hired, a marketing company. Mm-hmm. They took photos from a blogger, some VHS photos, and then they kind of photoshopped them, and they never compensated that blogger. So because that blogger had rights to those photos, he was able to get, a nice settlement from Netflix for doing that. So sometimes it's smart to do it because you never know who might take some of your content. It could be someone small or large. Another thing in terms of it being important to register, and protect your trademarks is, again, you want to be in the driver's seat of how your brand shows up online. And it also provides opportunities and open doors for potential licensing contracts in the future. If you are, building, a small but mighty brand, and most of the time that's what's happening with the people that I'm working with, and I'm working with some top level influencers and making sure that their trademarks are secure. I have one of my clients, and she has several 100,000 followers on Instagram, and she's partnered with, H&M and other major companies. Having that trademark protected and secure could allow her to really license that name, maybe for artwork. She could license it out for other people to maybe be a part of her brand and be affiliated with it. So there are different avenues that you can use to kind of, not necessarily manipulate your intellectual property, but in order to monetize it to the best of your ability.
So tell me this, Ticora, just a quick follow-up. Do I have to register it before I can sue somebody? In other words, what I'm trying to say is if they steal it beforehand and then I register it, do I still have rights to sue for what they stole before?
Yeah, to a certain extent. With respect to copyright, if someone violates or infringes on your copyright, you won't necessarily. The issue when it comes to unregistered copyrighted work is then you have to prove damages, whereas when it's registered, you don't have that burden of proof. And so having to prove damages sometimes can be very, very difficult because you may not have necessarily been damaged monetarily. Perhaps your brand really didn't, feel the effect of someone stealing your content because you caught it very early. It also limits the fact that you could get compensation for your attorney's fees. So those are some incentives for registering copyrights. With respect to registering trademarks, it's what many of my clients have found difficult and very irritating is that someone else, I have a client now, her trademark is almost registered, but other people have started the same company or a group, Facebook fan page group, using her trademark. And so people are thinking that when they join her group, which is something that she uses as a marketing tool and to make her money, they think that by joining these other groups that they're somehow affiliated with her. And when she tells and she files a claim of infringement with Facebook, Facebook responds and they say, well, give us your trademark certificate. Show us that you're the owner of the trademark. Facebook, Instagram, all these social media platforms and outlets are not a court of law. They're not going to adjudicate the matter because they don't want to decide wrong. By law, if you have a trademark certificate in hand, the law recognizes you as the rightful owner over the trademark, and that is something that you can use to get this content removed. So that's another incentive, and that's why I always go back to the point of being in full control over how your brand shows up online and having registered trademarks and copyrights, strategically registering them. It really helps you to be in control over how your brand shows up and who is able to take advantage of your intellectual property.
Awesome. Thanks for dropping such great knowledge. And guys, remember, any questions, drop them down in the comments and we will try to get to them. All right, so tell me this. What is the biggest mistake you see new business owners making when it comes to your field or intellectual property?
The biggest mistake that people make is by going full speed ahead, investing time, money, energy, effort, and emotions being attached to names, especially business names, product names, and they did not take the time to get a comprehensive trademark clearance search done. Unfortunately, I've had my fair share of conversations with entrepreneurs who come to me desiring to register trademarks, and I have to break the news to them that they're actually the ones who's infringing on someone else's intellectual property, or their trademark is not strong enough to be registered. And so having that conversation is really tough because some of these people have been building businesses for the past 6 months to a year to 2 years, and to hear that they cannot get a trademark because they want to solidify their business and take things to the next level, or that now their business is at risk from being sued itself, is a devastating conversation, and it's scary for them. Now, if they would have done their due diligence up front, invested that money in getting that clearance search done, they would have known, where they stood. And that's honestly one of the, if not the most heartbreaking or devastating mistake people make. It definitely is up there in the top 1 to 2 because everything really stems from a name. If you look back into history or even some of the most iconic brands or the brands that you love, when you think of those names for businesses, they immediately bring back a sense of nostalgia. You know, if you want to go, like I'm not going back to where did we go? It was a horrible place. I think I just blocked it from my memory. It wasn't Cracker Barrel, but it's K&W cafeteria. Oh my God. It was really, really horrible. I ate there. We both got sick. I'm never going back to K&W cafeteria, right? I'm like, nope. I will die of thirst and hunger, right? Because I had such a poor experience there. And that, when I think of K&W, I'm like, I'm not doing it. So it's very similar. Like you can have an amazing experience someplace. Like one of my favorite places is Grove Park Inn, because that's where my husband took me to Asheville to propose, and we just had such a good time there. And like thinking of certain places and the nostalgia and the memories, it's really attached and tied to the names, and prestige and luxury and high quality is attached to certain names too, and as well as poor quality. Like when we think of Target and Walmart, we have a whole nother discussion, you know. So that's why, these things are important and powerful, and people often underplay them. They don't think that they need a trademark, or they don't think they need to protect their intellectual property until somebody takes it.
So talk to me a little bit about your social media engagement, because in addition to being an intellectual property lawyer, you are taking the internet by storm. I've seen your posts. They get hundreds of likes and comments and shares, and as a small business owner who really wants to build that content up and start, brick by brick laying the foundation for their empire, how do you do that? How do you start getting everyone involved?
Oh my gosh. I think I really had to understand what my brand's voice, and oftentimes our brand voice is directly tied and aligned with our own voice and who we are. And, being an attorney, it in our profession, as you know, it's very like people want you to be kind of clean cut. They want you to, sometimes they expect you to be in a suit all the time, and nothing's wrong with that. One of the things that I did prior to starting my business, I looked up all the negative things that people said about attorneys, and I wrote them down. I wrote down every single lawyer joke I could find. I wrote down all the negative things and connotations that people have associated with attorneys, and then I wrote the opposite. I said, I'm going to be all the opposite. I'm going to be engaging. I'm not going to appear like I'm pompous and I know more than my clients. I'm going to be friendly and amiable. I'm going to deliver high quality. I'm going to make sure that, they get more than what they bargained for whenever they hire my firm. So that was intentional in terms of, the type of service that I provide, as well as the level of service that I provide. And of course I've fallen short, but that's really the heart of what I do. And then also sharing stories of just the hardship. People love, they root for the underdog. And I think I underplayed that when I started. I thought that all of my quote-unquote weaknesses, or the things that maybe will hold me back, are really the things that make me approachable and that people really enjoy and like. And so I think that I strive to share within reason, and a level that I'm comfortable with, and a level that my husband's comfortable with, my family life and my son, and things of that nature, and really just encouraging people, because people think sometimes online that, oh, everything's amazing and you don't have any issues and your business is going great. And it's like, no, that's not always what it is going on. So I think a couple of things have really helped in terms of me having, a nice, modest, growing presence on social media is just being authentic, being myself. I'm a goofy person. I love to make jokes, so I don't take myself too seriously, and that shines. I also have an excellent virtual assistant who helps schedule all of my social media. So with my approval, she schedules, the quizzes that I post to kind of engage people. She schedules, the trademark tips of the day. And I pre-record videos, like I call myself Legal Bay, so it's like Q&A with Legal Bay, and so I answer common questions, and she posts that. So I try to make sure that the law is fun and engaging, and that people are like, not bored when they interact with me and my brand, and it's been amazing by doing that.
Absolutely. I think that that's a big problem that a lot of business owners have, is they try not to be a person, right? They try to be, I am clean cut. This is my box, right? But, no one is that person in real life. That's their persona. Their real person is like you said, someone who's joking around, someone who's having a good time, someone who is showing a picture of their dog in addition to what they're working on right now, right? So I agree with you. I think being genuine is great. I'm going to do a whole other video later on, probably next week, about organic Facebook engagement and some of the tips and tricks to try to get people to see it. There's been some changes to the algorithm, but in the meantime, let me just go ahead and give you some quick tips that you can do right now to make sure people are actually seeing your stuff. Okay? Number one, like, love, or get engagements. Get people to like or love or put a little heart on your thing. The more engagements you have, the more Facebook will show it to people. Number two, drop comments, but when you drop comments, tag the person's name. So if Ticora and I are talking and she says, wow, I really love this, I will tag her and say, tag Ticora. Great, thanks. This is fantastic, right? They love to see the tag, and when you see that little tag go, Facebook says, oh, great, people are talking, and I need to send this to more people in the network, right? And number three, emojis and images. Facebook loves genuine emojis and images. Throw those up in either your post or in your comments. And I'll go through some reasons why later on, but in short, if you want to make sure your message gets out there, in addition to being genuine, you got to game the Facebook system just a little bit, and I would do that.
I would also add, always make sure that your videos, your posts have a call to action.
Yeah.
You want someone to visit your website, subscribe to your blog. If you want them to watch a video, make sure that that's in the call to action. Also, don't be afraid to recycle your content. Most consumers, when you first post your video, they think of all the things that go on your Facebook timeline and that you miss. So it's okay if you make a post and it's between 3 and 5 posts that really hint or talk about the same thing, or you reshare the video that you did last year.
Yep.
So are things that I've done, and it really helps not only boost engagement with whatever videos that you have going on, it also takes the stress off of you in terms of content creation, right? So you don't have to think, I have to think of 30 different things to talk about for the month of January. No, you don't. You can recycle that content and really allow it to build off of one another. So that's something else I want to add.
So, Ticora, if someone wants to get to know you more, follow up with you on questions or anything like that, how do they get a hold of you? How do they reach out?
The best way is to go to my website, and that is www.creatorslawfirm.com. With the website, you can also see my personality displayed there, which is always fun. And also at the bottom of the page, you can submit an inquiry if you're interested in trademark registration and the like. And so that'll help. You know, I have an email autoresponder that goes out, and you can schedule your appointment. You can also visit my Facebook page or anywhere in terms of Twitter, Instagram, at Creators Lawyer. So you can see, you know, some of those posts that I talked about, a lot of the educational videos that I posted as well. A lot of people like to message me personally. That's not the best way to get in contact with me, only because those messages go to the other folder, and it's not always readily apparent. I need to check it. So the best way is to go to the website or my Facebook page.
Okay, and thanks for joining us, guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them down. I didn't see any so far, but I am paying attention. And I am going to go ahead and talk about one last little topic before we move on, and I'll be doing a bigger video about this, but someone messaged me earlier today about the concept of the imposter syndrome, and that's the feeling that no one really cares about what you do or what you can achieve or what you know, because there's always some other person who's got to be better at it than you. Now, as someone who is creating her own law firm, and obviously there's intellectual property lawyers who've been practicing for 4 decades, 5 decades, tell me how you overcame that. How did you overcome that feeling that what you did would be inferior to somebody else?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Oh, man. So how did I overcome that? I still battle that sometimes, unfortunately. But that really almost made me not start the law firm. It's really tough to, you know, even when I was prior to launching, I reached out to attorneys who are intellectual property attorneys in my area. A lot of people never responded to me, and there were some great people who did. I remember having a conversation with someone here locally in Charlotte, and he just was saying he didn't think that I should start the firm, that he didn't think that it would go well, that I should really try to get in with a firm so I could learn from someone else, because this is a hard area of the law. And, you know, my mantra anytime someone says something like that to me is, I wasn't calling you to ask for your permission. You know, I don't need anyone's permission to do anything. I give myself that permission. And really, anytime someone says something negative to me or discouraging, I just I sift through it and I glean any of the good out of it, and I take that and I discard the rest. And so I don't internalize that or personalize it, because someone could be having a bad day. It could be their own fear. It could be themselves self-projecting onto me. So I only receive what I feel is aligned with the calling over my life. So I really had to. That is a huge mindset change in terms of where I used to be. So that is what I have done, and that has really helped me a great deal in terms of really just saying, okay, what do I want for my life, and how can I make sure that happens? Also, I have very lofty goals every month, each not just income goals, but media features, time that I want to spend with my son. I'm being intentional about that, and also really how I want to show up in the world. And so I think battling that imposter syndrome and overcoming that has to be balanced with, who would never consider me to be an imposter? My son would never consider me to be an imposter, or my husband, or the people who are close to me. So balancing time and with your business as well as with those who are closest to you is uber important, and understanding that you don't have to accept and receive what people say to you. You don't have to step into agreement with those people. And once I realized the power of agreement and not stepping into agreement with people like that, it really has really helped change my mindset and uplift my business.
Fantastic. I love that quote. I wasn't calling you to ask your permission. That's right. You just
Davis.
yeah, Ticora Davis. I'll throw it in on me. Don't worry. Okay, and Ticora, thank you for being here. And let me ask you one really weighted question. For those of you who don't know, Ticora was on MTV's Black Ink, where she was amazing. But greatest honor of your career, being on that show or being here with me?
Oh man, hands down being here with you, because you're the one who was responsible for getting me black ink in the first place. So without you, it wouldn't have happened. So hands down, it was, my trial coach and attorney extraordinaire, Mr. Stephen Corbin.
Thanks, Ticora, and thanks for everybody for watching. If you have any questions, drop them in there. We'll circle back around, and also we'll drop a link to her website there in case you guys want to keep in touch. Thank you all. I'll see you next Friday at 3 p.m. We're going to be talking to Nicole Abood about some lawyer marketing and just business marketing in general, especially in this social media age. Thanks all.
Bye. Thanks again.